Beneath the surface of a close-knit community lies a chasm of disdain, where a battle rages unseen. A voice trembling with vulnerability stands at the edge of despair, yearning for a flicker of understanding. What can one man achieve when the odds are stacked against him in a world that has turned its back? In the heart of Liberty Hills, a town that wore its traditional values like a badge of honor, the sun cast long shadows over the modest homes and shop fronts lining Main Street. The air, thick with the scent of fresh bread from the local bakery, maintained an undercurrent of tension, a reminder of the unspoken divides lingering in the quaint community. Tom, a man in his 60s, wandered through this town with a worn duffel bag slung over his shoulder, a veteran of distant wars bearing the scars of both battle and bitterness. His once bright blue eyes now harbored storms of memory, remnants of a life stripped of stability, filled with yearning for redemption. As he passed the bustling cafe, he noticed Claire, a local journalist known for her fierce compassion, sipping herbal tea while typing hastily. With auburn hair framing her face, Claire was determined to uncover stories that mattered, believing in Tom's potential to inspire. She often saw beyond labels, eager to bridge the chasm between Tom and her well-heeled acquaintances. Meanwhile, Mayor Johnson, a towering figure of authority, embodied the town's elite, skeptical and disdainful towards anyone who threatened his meticulously curated image of success. The mix of disinterest and prejudice hung palpably in the air, casting a Goliath-like shadow over Tom's journey, one that was just beginning to unfold amidst the backdrop of Liberty Hills. The sun hung low over Liberty Hills, casting warm hues across the well-tended lawns of the affluent neighborhoods that bordered the old part of town. The whispers of gossip floated on the gentle breeze that rustled the leaves, mingling with the distant laughter from families gathered at the park for the annual fall festival. As Tom navigated the familiar streets, the scent of spiced cider wafted through the air, drawing his thoughts momentarily from his own burdens. Yet with each passing step, memories of his time in the military haunted him, layering the sweetness of nostalgia with the bitterness of regret. He found a quiet bench beneath a sprawling oak, its leaves slowly turning amber. It provided a brief respite from the judgment that often shadowed him in this town, a place he once proudly served but now felt estranged from. Just then, Claire, her notepad tucked under her arm, approached him. "Tom," she greeted warmly, "I heard about the charity event next week. What do you think about sharing your story?" Before he could respond, a raucous outburst punctuated the air. Mayor Johnson, with his booming voice, dismissed Tom's plight in a town meeting across the street. "We can't support those who don't help themselves." The words struck Tom like a physical blow, igniting a flicker of defiance within him. Claire's eyes widened, reflecting the mounting tension between Tom and the elite who thrived on unfounded prejudices. Tom stood by the crumbling park bench, the weight of the words he meant to share heavy on his heart. He envisioned the charity event as a lifeline, a chance to shed the layers of despair he wore like tattered clothing. Yet as he practiced quietly in the shadow of the town hall, the distant echoes of a meeting filtered through the walls, carrying with them the disdainful voice of Mayor Johnson. "I refuse to endorse government handouts for those who squander their potential. This isn't a charity for the likes of him," the mayor had sneered, dismissing the very essence of Tom's struggle. Claire sat nearby, brow furrowed in disbelief, her pulse quickening with each word she heard. She had worked tirelessly to rally the townsfolk behind Tom, only to witness the powerful disdain of a man who represented the elite, those who believed success was a prize earned, not a fight for survival. "How can they think like that?" Claire muttered under her breath, her chest tightening with indignation. "How can they refuse to see that everyone deserves a second chance?" Tom, unbeknownst to her, felt small and defeated, the mayor's words looping in his mind like a haunting refrain, each syllable cut deeper than any combat wound he had ever earned. He turned away, his resolve wavering as the shadows of doubt crept nearer. "I'm just a veteran," he thought, "just another face in this fated town." But then he recalled the truth Claire had shared, the belief that every story mattered, even his. He tightened his fists, determined to face the overwhelming tide of prejudice. For each condescending laugh from the elite, he would respond with the courage birthed from his past. I have to prove them wrong, Tom whispered to himself, every ounce of pain and hope building within. I'll make them listen. Tom stood in the dilapidated town hall, the walls peeling like old memories, each flake a reminder of the skepticism that surrounded him. As he listened to Mayor Johnson's disdainful words, the contempt in the air felt palpable. We can't keep handing everything to people who make poor choices, the mayor asserted, casting a dismissive glance at Tom. This is Liberty Hills. We value hard work and self-reliance. The townsfolk around him murmured in agreement, their faces a mix of acceptance and apathy. Tom's heart sank, the weight of his past pressing down like a boulder. Claire, standing beside him, shot back, her voice shaking with passion. But what about compassion? What about the sacrifices they made for us? We need to lift them up, not push them down. Her words ignited a flicker of hope in Tom, yet it was drowned out by the laughter from the privileged elite, who found amusement in mocking the homeless veteran standing before them. As the gathering dwindled, Tom noticed the familiar specter of despair creeping back in, reminding him of how far removed he was from acceptance. Later, in the quiet of his makeshift home under the old oak tree, Tom clutched Claire's notes close to his chest. The speech she meticulously crafted for him sat crumpled, a reflection of his swirling thoughts. Memories of the war haunted him, the laughter of men who never returned echoing in his mind. Would they see him as a broken man, or could he spark something deeper in their hearts? The charity event loomed, each day feeling like a countdown to judgment. Tom stood at the precipice of vulnerability, facing the crowd he once wished to belong to. Would he find the strength to share his truth amidst the jeers? What if he failed again? The night deepened, and with it, the question lingered in the air. Could courage bloom in a town that had already decided who was worthy? As Tom stepped onto the stage, his heart pounded with an anxious rhythm, a cacophony of voices echoing his doubts. Thousands watched, but the faces of Mayor Johnson and the mockers loomed large, casting shadows of disbelief. With Donald Trump standing in the audience as a reminder of the weight of expectation, Tom hushed the crowd, the microphone trembling against his palms. "Good evening, everyone," he began, his voice shaking. "I stand here not as a hero, but as a man who's lost more than just battles. I lost my way, my home." Silence enveloped the gathering, the air thick with anticipation. Tom deepened his breath, drawing courage from the depths of his struggle. "I fought for our freedom, but somewhere along the way, I forgot to fight for myself." Tom's gaze fell on Claire, her encouraging nods emboldening him. "You see, when you're discarded, when you're the lesser in your own town, you start believing the lies told to you, that you're worthless, that you don't belong." An audible gasp rippled through the audience. His eyes flickered to Mayor Johnson, who crossed his arms defensively, but shifted, visibly unsettled. "I'm not here to demand handouts or pity. What I seek is understanding, a heart willing to see the person beneath the grit. In real battles, we all have scars, don't we?" He was met with an unexpected applause, a wave of support that washed over his doubts. In that moment, a light flickered within Mayor Johnson. He uncrossed his arms, letting the facade of superiority slip just a shard. The transformation was subtle yet powerful. Tom's honesty ignited a spark of compassion. It turned indifference into questioning. "I am David, yes, but today I ask you all to be giants in compassion," Tom implored, his voice steady. "Help me pave the way for others like me." The crowd surged with empathy, applause ringing through Liberty Hills, a chorus of unity resonating within their communities. In that sobering instance, the tides shifted, no longer mere observers, but participants in change, ready to rally behind Tom's journey toward belonging. In the wake of the charity event, Liberty Hills began to transform as Tom's story carried new weight among its residents. People who once averted their eyes now engaged in conversations about homelessness and the needs of veterans. Mayor Johnson, realizing the collective shift, felt the anger of the elite, but also the warming grasp of community empathy. It forced him to confront his own prejudices as he began advocating for initiatives that would support individuals like Tom. Tom found more than just temporary housing. He discovered a renewed sense of purpose. Channeling his own trials, he started mentoring other veterans, guiding them on paths to recovery with a steady hand. Claire's series about Tom sparked a wave of compassion that spread throughout town, knitting a tapestry of understanding. Liberty Hills learned that lifting one another only made them stronger, imparting an invaluable lesson. Empathy and unity can break down the fiercest giants of indifference, crafting the foundation of true redemption and hope.